Hey everyone, this is Jairo Morales from The Grind Fitness and welcome to my channel. On this channel, you're gonna learn how to take care of your body while we do this wonderful sport called Jiu-Jitsu. Everything from joint strength training classes to mobility classes, as well as yoga and many other professionals to teach you what is the best path for you and your Jiu-Jitsu journey. If you haven't already, please do me a favor, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell. You know what to do. Share this with somebody if you think this might help the community to be able to take care of their body for their journey on Jiu-Jitsu. Oos, guys. Hope to see you on the mat. Hey, what's up, guys? Thanks for tuning in to another live again today. Today, we're kind of going to go through I had a previous conversation roughly about a month ago with Madison Shaw, a registered dietitian, just on dieting for recovery and things like that, just fundamentals of nutrition. I thought it was going to be better for me to actually have a little bit more sport specific for Jiu-Jitsu. So I brought on a competitor black belt for her to talk to that you guys will be able to witness and actually engage in the conversation with us. What you're going to notice is she's going to be asking questions to kind of get a little bit more information so that the content that she's going to produce for us is going to be specific for Jiu-Jitsu. That's going to give you the guidelines and the fundamentals of what you need in order for you to either make weight, cut weight, which I don't recommend, things of that nature, so that you know that you're doing the right thing for your body as healthy as possible. All right, guys, so I'm going to bring Madison on and Enrique.
Hello, everyone.
So this is Madison, registered dietitian, and Enrique March, competitor in black belts. I'm going to go ahead and exit out. You guys go ahead and do the conversation and introduce yourselves, and then just let the conversation begin. All right, guys?
Sounds good.
Madison, please.
Alrighty, so I guess I will start off. Hello, everyone. I'm Madison Shaw. I'm a registered dietitian. I specialize in metabolism and performance, so working with athletes from every single sport, but I've never worked with a jiu-jitsu athlete. So I'm very excited today to kind of hear what your sport entails, what you do to be the best at your sport, and help others kind of get to that level too. So I'll kind of let you introduce yourself and kind of just tell me how you got into the sport, and we'll go from there.
Okay, Madison, nice to meet you. Hello, everybody. My name is Enrique March. I have been doing Jiu-Jitsu since 2006. I think 2007 I started to compete. So it's 15, 16 years competing. And I had a lot of experience, difference about cutting weight, eating the night before, bad dinner, good dinner, passing really hard times on the competition, or realizing what is the things I think I need in order to compete better the next day. So I'm gonna try to at least to tell my experience. Maybe you can help me a lot, because it's pretty tricky, Jiu-Jitsu. You have different federations, weightings on the day, on the minute before the match, or the day before. So now I'm really happy to hear you here and meet you. So what's the first question?
All right. Well, thank you so much for giving such a great introduction. I'm really excited to help you as well. And I didn't even think that you would need my help at your level. See, everyone, there's always deficiencies to be filled. Like, you're helping me educate these individuals, and I'll help you fill any deficiencies you need as well.
I think everybody have his own recipe, no? I think in nutrition, it's not like universal truth. I can hear a lot of different variations of the same topic, like eat a lot of meat, never eat meat. You can, chicken is okay, no, better is fish. You can eat only if it's raw, or you can only eat liver. So it's crazy. And I try to learn every day something new and try on myself if it's something logic, not like raw raw liver. But I try to learn because I think it's something like always change. Not only talking about the medicine or how the medicine discover new stuff. It's also my body. I feel like sometimes the things I did like, I don't know, 5 years ago are not the same, don't gonna have the same results today. So for that, I think it's always consult with a professional about that topic and try to learn every day. But yes, always the help is welcome.
Awesome. So let's start there. You said there are some things that you used to do that don't work for you anymore. So let's talk about, first of all, where you compete in. So I see that there's gi and no gi. Do you compete with the gi or without a gi or both?
Both. I gonna explain you like on general view what
Perfect.
the shujitsu is about, the how the shujitsu deals with weights and all that stuff.
Yep.
First, you have different federations. One of the most popular in when where everybody competes is IBJJF, International Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Federation. In that federation, the weight in it's in the moment you're gonna fight. It's like they call you, they wait for you, and they ask you to stay 20 minutes before your match. When your match have to run, they call you, you do the weigh in, and you wait in 5 minutes, you're gonna compete. So you don't have like a lot of time to rate it or do something if you are cutting weight. You can do it maybe for in your first match. You go to your first match, how you stay, and then you have time because the second match is 10-20 minutes after. So the weight in is in the moment.
Okay.
And about gi and no gi is different, the weights. For example, the weight is for gi on my case is middleweight is until 181.6 pounds. So it's like 82 kilos. In no gi is until 85 kilos. So it's like 188, something like that. I don't remember now on no gi because I am from Argentina, so for in kilos it's easier for me. So it's 85 kilos. So the problem, for example, in my case, it's medium heavy. My division, it's like this one until 88, until 85 kilos. It's medium heavy. Medium, my division on gi is middleweight. It's until 79. So that is 179, 178 on
Mm-hmm.
pounds. So for me, my weight now, I'm walking around on 81 kilos.
Okay.
So I can I can do on gi middleweight, but if I try middleweight on no gi, it's really hard. I know it's just 3 kilos, but in my case, for I don't know my metabolism, wherever, it's really hard to cut that 3 kilos. And also, I'm comfortable fighting against guys a little bigger. I think like this 3 kilos is not like a huge difference. I can do it. For example, I'm gonna compete the next weekend,
Mm-hmm.
Panams on nogi, and I'm gonna do it on medium heavy. So I try a little bit fixing my meals and everything, but the truth is, after 1 month of trying, I
Mm-hmm.
just lose like I don't know 1 kilo, something like that, like 2 pounds. So I feel like okay, I don't want to do this. I'm going to try to stay strong, stay comfortable. If one day I have to eat a slice of pizza, I can do it and go until medium heavy. I'm comfortable. I'm going to fight there. So that is with IBJJF. In the other hand, you have federations like HAP. HAP is a really good federation. Famous also is the Abu Dhabi Jiu-Jitsu Pro Federation. They made the weights one day before. So that changed a lot. And also the divisions are different. It's like, let me remember, it's 77 kilos, and the next one is 85.
Okay.
So the difference is changing a lot. It changed a lot, and also the weight is one day before. So in that case, I can do it until 85. The problem is I face guys on 90 kilos probably. So that is not, it's not the same. It's not like the 2-3 kilos I was talking. So HAP is that federation. Then you have, for example, I'm not, I don't compete in the last one. I didn't compete on ADCC, but ADCC it's totally different. It's 11 kilos.
Correct.
Sorry.
Those are the 2-day tournaments, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, exactly. Yes. ADCC, for example, is 2 days. It's Saturday and Sunday, or also Pan Am's World's big championships, the majors. It's probably in 2 days. Sometimes you have to compete until semifinals or quarterfinal. One day, the next day is semis and finals. So yes, you don't have to do the weight both days.
Okay.
It's just the first one. But yes, it's 2 days, so that changed a little bit. If someone is cutting weight, change. And even one doubt you can help me on this is super. It's great to have you. It's about the second day. What is the best dinner? Because I waste a lot of energy, but in the other hand, I need energy for the second day. But I don't want to feel me super heavy, slow, eat a lot of carbs and fat, and stay like the next day.
Wow. That's
So
difficult.
it's a lot of things, I think, factors you have to have in mind.
So before I kind of give what my recommendations would be for something like that, I want to hear kind of what you do. So walk me through, when do you start prepping for a fight? And I know that since you're a seasoned fighter, you may stay in shape, year round, where some people, if they're just getting into this, they may, need to work up to it. But when do you usually start prepping for a match?
Okay, it depends, because, for example, on Jiu-Jitsu, my goals now, for example, my goal is next weekend Pan Am's, and then on the end of the year is Worlds no-gi. So now I'm focusing on no-gi. Both competitions are no-gi. But in the middle of that, I'm going to compete Miami Open. It's gi. So, for example, now I'm focusing more on no-gi, but also I try to train in gi and stay on shape for both. Trying to be focused more on one, but I try to compete, to train both and be ready for any competition on the middle between my biggest goals. For example, for Pan Am's, I did with the guys here all the ADCC camp, because they're gonna compete that. So it was great, because I started like, I don't know, maybe five months ago, this camp.
Nice.
So that is about the training, the skills, the strategy and tactics. But if we talk about food, I try to eat healthy always, like, or at least what I feel or I think is healthy, So I try to control my weight, also, because I know I have that competitions. So it's not just healthy, it's the size of the meal, how much I eat. But if I have to think, for example, in this case, I
Mhm.
I want to try to do it on one less division on middleweight, no gi. I try, for example, in this case, like 2 months ago, to
Okay.
control the portions, the size of the meals, and also obviously eat healthy, trying to stay control the everything, no, the portions, the calories, everything. But the truth is, after try and feel sometimes the adaptation was a little hard or stay a little weak on the trainings, I decided to just give up and do it on the heavier division. But for
Okay.
example, in this case was 2 months. Uh, if you asking me about cut weight, I really cut weight for trials, ADCC trials. A few years ago, the trial was, I think, 2019. And in 2019, I did like 77 kilos. So
Wait,
that
how many pounds did you cut in kilos?
uh, 3, 4, 5, between 5 and 6 kilos. So it's like,
Times 2.2, somewhere
yes,
around 12
well,
pounds.
sorry?
Yeah, somewhere around 12 pounds.
Yes, yes. So that was for me the biggest weight cut. But in that moment, my nutritionist, the professional I consult was good. I did the weight, but in the third match, I injured my rib. Um, I felt I don't wanna say it's his fault or my fault. He is a great professional, but I feel like he don't match with my style of feed of the meals I used to eat. So what happened? It's like he's really good, but with approach more to the vegetarianism, like more fruits, salads.
Okay.
I in my case, for example, I eat meat like 3 days on the week, like red meat, and
Hmm.
the other days chicken or pork or fish. So and I love cheese. I love eggs. So for me, it was really hard to start to just cut with all of that stuff and start to eat banana. I love bananas, but I cannot live just with bananas. So I start to eat just fruit. Again, I can eat. I love eat vegetables, but I cannot handle only my whole meal about on that.
Yeah.
So that happened. I did the weight, but even on the trainings on that moment, I felt like a little weak. Was a little hard to me. Um, in that moment, I felt like my technical tactic uh, moment was great. My skills on that moment was great, but physically that happened on the third match. I hurt my rib and was I tried, but was impossible keep fighting. So I don't know if it's for sure part of the weight cut have some, so it's a factor on the injury because it's part of my lifestyle.
Yeah.
Maybe it was just an accident or a bad motion, but I think it's a lot of, I thought it's a lot of factors on one thing. You cannot say it's just one thing or let that on the side and say no, that don't have anything
Yeah. We'll
to
never know
do.
for sure.
Yeah, yeah. So that was my weight cut, my experience on that. But
And what
now
about,
I try
oh, sorry.
to fight on
Yeah,
my
what
weight.
about now? Like what is the most weight that you try to cut now? I mean, Jairo and I spoke about this previously, and we really didn't want to see, and my goal for athletes in general, whether it be the bodybuilding community or some sport where you have to cut weight, I never like to see more than 5 to 10 pounds cutting, because then you sacrifice, you know, performance, strength, endurance, and even strength. I mean, all of that. So what is your method of cutting now? Do you try to keep within a couple kilos of your weight and then just pull back a couple of things? Do you sit in a sauna? What is your method for cutting weight?
The truth is, I try to, if I have to cut, it's maybe like the last day.
Awesome.
I try to eat well all the week, stay strong, and maybe last day on the dinner, something super light, just to have something on the belly. And also, most of on my case, black belts on most of the tournaments is on the morning.
Okay.
So that is, for me, is a good thing, because I try to stay on weight on the night before, or stay on the tournament on the morning, do my weight, check my weight, and maybe in the warm up cut the last pound if I need. Not more than that, because that happened. The weight in, it's 5 minutes before the match, so I need my warm up. I need to stay strong, and I feel like maybe the last month or 2 weeks, if you want, of before of the tournament, it's a lot of psychological part. Is my mind. So if I'm cutting weight, dealing with that, and I start to feeling like, okay, I did the weight, but I'm weak today, and look, that guy is huge. I don't like to deal with that kind of stuff, you know. So I try to stay on weight, maybe cut 1 pound if I need on the warm up or the morning, but that's the idea. Don't stay heavy on that moment, because now the competitions are IBJJF. Most of the competitions are gonna do it, so that's the way. In Nogi next week, I can eat 4 pizzas now, because it's 3 kilos higher, so I don't have that many problems.
And will you fight? So for someone who is in a similar situation as you, when it turns into gi and they're able to have that little bit more kilos on, do you like staying at your weight, or would you prefer to move up a little bit more just to fight in that division? I know you say you fight up against, or I don't want to call it fight, but you what do you call it? Do you call it fight or a match?
Yes. It's a fight. Yes.
Is it? Okay.
Yes.
I just want to make sure I have the right terminology. But do you prefer to stay where you're at because you already know you're comfortable at this weight, or for those types of situations, will you go ahead and like have the pizza or put on a couple kilos just?
For example, now the idea is, if I'm gonna compete with bigger guys, that's the case now. Mm-hmm. I try to earn to win some weight. Like I try to, I don't change like building season, like start to eat a lot of pizza, ice cream, and pasta. So I try to eat the same, maybe bigger size of the portions, and I focus a lot on my workouts, like strength conditioning, lift more weights. Like I want to stay bigger if I can, stronger if I can, but not slower. Or the sacrifice is not, because I don't want to change my style. Every day I compete with bigger. Every day I roll. I train with bigger guys. Also, someone smaller on my size, but I train with bigger guys, like the most of the guys on my training are bigger than me. So I feel like I don't want to change my style using more strength. Always be stronger is better, but I don't know if you understand what I try to say. Like,
No, I get completely.
my idea is if I can stay stronger, perfect. But my goal is not just build up the 3 kilos and stay slow or
and
fat,
sacrifice
you
that,
know?
yeah. No, I completely, and I'm really, really happy that this is the message that you're getting across to the people who are listening, because this is exactly what Jairo kind of wanted me to put together. And this is the message that we want to convey to these individuals, that, you know, you don't want to have to be cutting, because say you're at, I mean, we'll just use my weight. I'm at 135 pounds, and let's say I want to fight in a smaller class, but I'm comfortable. I'm practicing at the weight I'm at now. I'm eating at the weight I'm at now. And then all of a sudden you tell me to cut 20 pounds. I can guarantee you, or even 10 pounds, I'm not going to compete or fight or have the same endurance or performance at the same level that I did when I was 130 pounds in that short period of time. It's just not possible. So
yeah. Also, something I feel is like I don't want to say you need to listen your body is that, but the idea is you need to learn to know your body. And for example, for me, something good is my cardio. So I don't wanna. I feel like I have a good cardio. I don't feel like I'm weak. A lack of strength. I have a good flexibility, but I feel like a cardio is a good thing on my game, and I can take advantage of that on my roles, on my fights. So, in the other hand, I gonna try to getting stronger, stay stronger, or bigger or wherever for the next competition, but I don't want to sacrifice one of my advantage against bigger guys, because I know that guys maybe are stronger than me, but maybe I'm faster, or I can let the guy tired before I'm tired and take advantage of that. So I don't want to change my style of fight or train, because I did a lot of work to reach this point with a specific style. And I don't know, maybe if I decide to do that change, have to be like today for I don't know, 6 months competition, maybe something in a long terms, you know?
yeah, I think nutrition is the same way. You know, we shouldn't be eating a certain way throughout the whole time and then deciding, okay, I want to jump into this weight class 2 weeks before. Let's just start changing all these things. Like you said, you know, you had not the best experience when you went from eating meat and chicken in your typical diet, and then all of a sudden you switched up to a very plant-based, it sounds like, approach last minute, and then your performance suffered. So that's kind of what I want to get across to these people as well. And it's going to be different for everyone. Nutrition is going to look different across the board, but I do want to get a little insight into what your nutrition looks like. So, do you have a typical meal that you always stick with as your like pre-fight meal or snack? Maybe you don't eat a full meal, but what is your go-to that you know, this is going to keep me fueled. It's not going to make me feel heavy.
Yes and no, because it's a lot of factors in the middle, because sometimes it's about time to cook. It's about how tired I finish my day. If I have on my fridge 10 eggs or just a piece of chicken or the something like that. So yes, I have my meal like I think it's something classic. It's a steak, rice. I like avocado, tomato, maybe kale, lettuce, something green, and it's that. It's with that I feel like I recover my energy, And also I used to do after the training protein shake.
Nice.
So with that, I feel like I'm well, like I recover after the training. And that changed maybe the day before the tournament. It's like my average meal, but that depends of the weight. If the last night I feel like I'm a little up or the weight, or I need to control that, it's maybe a smaller portion, or I change something, but I try to have some protein, maybe tuna or fish or salmon, and then something green, an avocado, just like that.
Nice.
But yes, that depends a lot of my weight the night before, and I think it's super important also know, or at least I think is like that. The size, the weight of the meal, it's the thing gonna have an influence on the weight tomorrow. I think is in the last night. I don't think it's change if it's a 1 pound of butter or 1 pound of lettuce. So
Yeah, in
I
one
don't
night.
know if like that, but I think one night before don't change too much.
Yeah, and that's nice that you are able to do that. You're not freaking out the night before, like, oh, I need to change this meal because I need to make weight. So in the morning of, are you typically eating, or is that dependent on where your weight is at that time?
In the morning of the tournament,
Mm-hmm.
mm, it depends of the weight, but the truth is between the anxiety and a lot of things on that morning, it's just like a coffee and my water, do the warm up and everything, because it's like 9 on the morning, 9 a.m.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
other thing is I train the pro training. It's on the mornings, so 9 a.m. is normal for me. Go to train without breakfast, so it's like that. I don't in the most of the tournaments it's just a coffee. It's no more than that.
And then for your tournaments, because I know some of them, I'm like looking at my notes here. Some of the tournaments, there's more than one match during that day. You're not just going and doing one
No,
fight.
no, exactly. Yes, that is for sure. In Jiu-Jitsu, I don't know. In the last tournament, Master Worlds, I had like 50 guys on my division.
Wow.
So it's 6 matches. You have to, and that one, in that case, is one day. So, for example, what happened to me is not like an excuse about this last tournament, but 50 guys in a really, really big tournament, it's like if you go like match after match without a lot of time to recover. I won first match, second match. For the third, I finished like was like 5 minutes between matches. The second
Wow.
was like hard. For the third one, I felt like I don't recover enough to do it on 100%. Maybe it's normal. I'm not saying it's not like excuse. My opponent was good, was better, perfect.
Mhm.
But I felt like yes, it's 6 matches on the day. If the tournament is big, maybe you have just one, but on black belt adult or master one, you have probably two, three, four in average.
Wow.
So this one was a big tournament, 6 matches for the gold, and I did third. I did three. Yes, that happened. In the third one, I felt like my grip like useless. My hips like I feel like I'm shoot my attacks and then I cannot finishing. So
Yeah.
yes, you have a lot of matches depend of the belt and division, but probably 3 or 4 on IBJJF is the most popular federation.
So also I'm seeing, again from my notes, it's a 1 round, 5, 6, 8, or 10 minutes, correct?
Yes, 5, 6, 7 on purple, 8 on brown, 10 on black on adult division.
Okay, so you're going during this time, you could have up to 6 matches of 10-minute rounds back to back to back to back.
Yes. The idea is if it's adult and you have to do 6 matches, you have the minimum time is 10 minutes between matches because it's the time of 1 round.
Yeah.
Or 1 fight. So it's 10 minutes, and for the finals, the double, 20 minutes.
Wow.
So
yes. you really only have 10 minutes to decide, not even to decide, if you want to eat something in between that time. And for you, is that ever an option? Do you ever eat anything in between those?
No.
Or like do a Gatorade or any kind of quick.
Exactly. Sugar. Yes. Maybe water for sure. A Gatorade, or yes. Sometimes I try like half banana or something sweet like banana with a little honey, something like that.
Or something. Yeah. Okay. Perfect.
Yes, but the truth is, you don't feel like you won't need on that moment. Sometimes you finish. For example, I can go and finish the match on 1 minute if I'm able to submit the guy. 1 minute, 2 minutes, 5. It's like the knockout. It's the submission is you put a lever, a choke, and it's done. So maybe your fight was 2 minutes, but even on that moment, if you feel comfortable, I don't feel like I won't eat something. Maybe if I was cutting weight, I need it because I cut weight. I did on a lower division. I was able to beat the guy. Okay, I can eat something, but I think if I can do it only if a professional tells me to do it. Like, for me, it's not like a option now. I don't feel like it's comfortable or stay with something on my belly after before the next match is something comfortable.
Yeah, and that's something I definitely would want to practice with my athletes, and something that I do practice with athletes when they have back-to-back things like that, because that's the last thing you want to do is try something new the day of your tournament and then putting yourself in a compromised position. So that is something that could definitely be helpful, but I would recommend testing it out, maybe at, I don't know if there are tournaments that don't really mean anything that you can go and just kind of practice.
Yes. It's normal. Go to smaller tournaments to check that the stuff about the weight, the meal, the strategy. Maybe if you are trying a new game plan, a new technique, yes, you can go and try. It's normal, and yes, it's a good option to do it.
Yeah, that would be my best recommendation for someone who wanted to add something new. Definitely not the day of is the last time that you ever want to add something that you've never done before.
But what do you think about but because that is my experience, but what do you think about the breakfast, or I don't know, something before the match on the morning, or even in my case on black belt, it's on the mornings, but a lot of guys watching us is purple, white, brown, it's different times, maybe it's 3 p.m. I have a student, I can help a lot with this information because maybe they are cutting weight or they are on the limit and they have to compete 3 p.m. and feel like, okay, it's hard. I don't know what to do with this because I can warm up, I can sweat, but the problem is I need something. So what do you recommend?
Yeah, so that's a big thing that we're going to put together, but depending on the time that you have, so if it's 30 minutes before, we always want to go for something like you mentioned, honey, banana, very fast carbs that are going to spike that blood sugar up and be able for you to take that into the muscle and use it. Protein, fat, and fiber are all going to slow down digestion and give you that heavy feeling, which is probably something that you experienced with all those vegetables. And they are filling, but they're going to leave you feeling full, which is great throughout the day, but the last thing we want during a fight or a match. So I would definitely not recommend trying it the day of, but test it out. Have a breakfast of, if it's an hour to 30 minutes before, I would just have some complex carbs. So again, going back to that banana, maybe you're doing one of those Gatorade gels or 8 ounces of Gatorade, just something to get that quick energy. But if your match is at 3 p.m., I would definitely recommend something like, say you're getting up at 9 a.m., eat a breakfast that has moderate amounts of protein so that it's keeping you full at least, let's say 9, 10, 11, 12, 1. By 1, you'll be fully digested. Maybe you can have a little bit of fat in there. I wouldn't put too much, but if we're eating chicken, then let's say chicken and a little bit of olive oil on top, and then definitely some carbs. So depending on the person, on their weight, on how long we were trying to keep them full, then I would add in some carbs like a white rice, or if they wanted to do a banana, or even like barbecue sauce, if with the chicken, something that's going to be quick and fast. Depending on the time, the closer we are, the farther we want to stay away from protein, fat, and fiber. So vegetables, fats, and meats and things like that. The further away we are from a competition, we do want to keep ourselves full, because if we have carbs in that moment at 9 a.m. and your match isn't until 3, that's not going to do anything for us. It's just going to sit there, spike your blood sugar. You're going to be sitting there like, all right, now I'm full and tired, and you're not going to be ready at 3 o'clock. So there's definitely things that we could play around with. And that's one thing I'm going to provide for Jairo with all this stuff is kind of a guide to show people and test out the different times. Like test out one day before and see how you feel. If you feel really heavy, then let's pull the meal back a little further and try out different things. Maybe you want to go for a banana, maybe you want to go for gummy bears, maybe you want to go for liquid and just do Gatorade, or make your own kind of intro workout with some liquid like glycerin or something, or glycerol, something really, really quick, or dextrose or something like that. So there's so many different options. And it does come down to trial and error, trying out what works for you as an individual and how you feel on that. Because some people, there are vegan and plant-based athletes who may come and see our video and say, I love fighting on salads and things like that. But then you have other people at the opposite end of the spectrum, like our carnivore guys who are over here eating raw meats the day before, and they feel great. So there's definitely many ways to do things right, but it's all going to be a trial and error and finding what works for you. And you said this before, you have to know how your body works, because there's so much out there. But if you know how your body works, then you can find out what works the best for you. So that's kind of what I feel. Let's see if I have any other questions. This one's more of just a fun one. Do you have a meal that you eat afterwards, kind of as just like, all right, we did it, I'm done, a little celebration?
Yes, but it's not just after sometimes you finish with your, on my case, my students or my partners, and probably we go everybody to come to I don't know, to Five Guys and eat a lot of burgers. But for example, something like my celebration is a little previous, it's before the match. A lot of times I did this the day before. If my weight is not bad, is on point, I like sushi. I love sushi. So I feel like it's some carbs, sugar, protein. It's light for me. It's not like I feel super full and heavy. And the night before, I love sushi to feel like the day of the competition, like I'm well, like not heavy. I feel like I digest everything. So I I like the meat like lunch on the average days, but a lot of times I did that before the competition, the dinner on the night before. I prefer sushi. If I
Nice.
can,
That's great.
I can do it after the competition also. But yes, but yes, that is my like celebration, my meal. I really love. So, what do you think about that? Is good sushi?
I
Because I
think
feel like it's rice. I know it's sugar. Maybe with the weight, I have to take care because I know, for example, soy sauce. It's a lot of sodium. I know that. So for that is super important if I'm on weight or not.
yeah.
But I feel like it's light, no? It's like something let me compete the next day without problem.
It's honestly, it's a really good, and whether you did it knowing or not, the night before, I would kind of have someone eat a little bit more carbs to carry them in through the next day. So with sushi, your ratio of protein to carbs is usually like 2 to 1 or 1 to 2. So your carbs are like double of what your protein is. So whether you plan that out or not, it was a great idea. The only thing with sushi, I would say, would be avoid fried. So not going for like too many tempura rolls or
No, I
things like
know, yes.
that, or really overdoing it on the spicy mayo or the eel sauce, adding those things. But sushi, even like a seaweed salad, the whole meal, it's a great, like you said, fight meal, and also something that you'll be able to digest if you keep the sushi typical with like just the fish and the seaweed
Yes.
and the rice. Yeah, I think it's a great meal. One thing also I wanted to ask you, what about water? How do you keep hydration throughout this whole thing? Do you manipulate that at all, moving like closer to the match, or does water kind of stay the same throughout, and then you just drink to stay hydrated, not as much as a weight tool?
I try to drink. On my case, for example, sometimes I have to cut this last pound on the warm up. So as soon as I sweat a lot. I do my warm up, and after the weight, I try to drink water enough to feel like I'm well, not too much. No, I don't think about like rehydration on that moment because it's 5 minutes before the match, so I cannot stay full of water on that moment. But yes, the idea is I try to drink a lot of water on the training. I don't believe in the old school way. You cannot drink water until you end the training, because it's, for me, don't have sense. You need to stay hydrated and avoid some cramps and all that stuff, and don't have any sense for me. But the idea is, yes, I try to drink water on my training sessions, always between fights. I need it. I finish like dying, so I need that water. And after the warm up, on after the weigh in. But yes, it's maybe the most fundamental part of all this stuff. Even it's the only thing I drink. I don't used to drink, I don't know, Coca-Cola or any kind of, maybe sometimes juice, but the idea, no, most of the time it's just water or the protein shakes.
Nice. Yeah, and
Or
that's super important to stay hydrated, just as important as it is to fuel yourself. So thank you for touching on that. I'm trying to see if I have anything
Yeah, I wanted to ask, actually, just to kind of like synopsis of you guys' talking a little bit. It seems like to me, and from personal experience and the feedback that I'm hearing from Kike as well, and from people like Musameshi, you don't know who he is, but Musameshi has a horrible diet. But the guy literally says that he eats pizza and pasta literally all day long, but he's training 6 hours, 8 hours a day. So I'm noticing like the normal diet routine that people have is as if low carbs is actually the way to go. But in jiu-jitsu, I think it's the exact opposite. In fact, I think it's more like eating complex carbs as like your main staple, a little bit heavier on the protein, and then like before and after training, you're gonna do more like simple sugars, like you said, the Gatorade or the glycogen packs or whatever it may be. And then from what he was saying, it sounds like those glycogen packs would be like optimal for while the days of the competition. If he's got 6 or 7 matches, it's like, because the example that he gave was like he felt good two fights, round 3, you start feeling a little run down, and that's when I would think that, okay, well, you've already spent all your glycogen in your muscle tissue. It's time to now replenish it. And then everyone thinks Gatorade, but Gatorade is it's not the greatest sugar. I mean, it is, but it's not the greatest. And I would think one of those, I forget what they're called. You know what I'm talking about.
Gel packs are the best.
Whatever it is. Yeah, and it's a little bit, it's a simple sugar, but it's just more readily available for your muscle tissue to replenish it in order for you to go get that extra second win. You know, and that's why I think he knows it, but like the Acai Bowls for the Brazilians is very popular. And the reason why Acai Bowls is because it's just sugar.
It's all sugar, yeah.
It's all sugar, and it feels, you go like 8 or 9 or 10 rounds of training, and you have like a sugar shake or like something like that, bro. It's the most satisfying sugar that you've ever tasted in your life. You know what I'm saying? And another thing too that I remember when you and I spoke about the salt thing. I've noticed now, and I don't know if it's because I'm a little bit more sensitive to it now that I got older, is that water's not enough. Like now, adding in the pink salt into my, especially after the days that I train. And again, it would also probably be good on days that you compete, is to add like Himalayan salt to your water. So you have the 64-ounce kind of thing, Himalayan salt, so that you're hydrating, but your body is holding on to the water as long as possible, and only utilizing it in order for you to perspire. Because you don't know, Madison, but the amount of sweat that we sweat it's gross, to be honest with you.
And you need to
wearing the gi, because the gi is a super heavy jacket, and I'm not exaggerating. I've taken the gi off like on a heavy day of training. It literally weighs probably like 10 to 15 pounds just in water of me sweating into the jacket.
Yes, it's true.
So it's one of those things where like people think water's enough or Gatorade's enough. Like Gatorade's not bad, but Gatorade's kind of a shitty sugar. It's kind of a bad sugar. There's better options when it comes to that. And then water's just not enough. We're just adding like just a basic salt to your water. Well, not basic salt, but like a Himalayan salt or some variation, like a better
or Celtic salt. Yeah.
Celtic salt or something like that is going to be a better option, so that when you are replenishing the water, you're not just peeing it through. Because that was what was happening with me, is that I would have like 1 or 2 heavy, like I do my heavy training days Saturday and Sunday. And for me, I'm a little older, so I'm a little bit more hypersensitive to how I feel. And I was noticing that, like, man, if I drank like 4 64-ounce waters, and why do I still feel tired? And I could tell that it's a fatigue of borderline dehydration. And then as soon as I started adding in the salt, all of a sudden I didn't have to drink the 4 to 6 64 ounces. I would have to drink maybe 2. And then my energy level was a little bit more stable, where like I don't know about you, KK, but a really like heavy training, it takes me 4, maybe 5 hours, maybe with a little bit of like a baby nap of like 20 minutes for me to be able to push the second day. But if I eat like a heavy sugar meal, like right afterwards, have like a 64-ounce with the salt in it, it cuts it in half. Like I feel almost replenished within just a few hours. So it's a little bit different. Like you were saying, the guy that helped you, or the person, I don't know if it was a girl or a guy that helped you out before, that they were giving you like normal people diets. You know, like, hey, I just want to lose 10 pounds. And fruits and salads and and like you said, just more fruits and more salad and
yes. No, I think you need to know the guy you're gonna help. It's super important. You cannot change my lifestyle, because in the other extreme is maybe the guy want, I don't know, a lot of meat, chicken. My diet is plant based, and is the opposite. So yes, you need to know the guy you're gonna. It's your client. So that case don't was the best, but it's just experience. It's that, for example, that guy helps a lot some friends, so I choose him because they told me, yes, I'm doing my weights perfect, I feel strong. Yes, then I realize, okay, you are vegetarian, you'd never eat anything like eggs or cheese or nothing, so yes, okay, don't wanna work for me. But yes, and about the water, is true, is not enough in order to recover. For example, with the protein shakes, and if I have time to eat something to lunch after the training on the mornings, it's good. I can recover. It's true. The baby nap can be excellent, but sometimes it's impossible for me on the week.
I know.
And also sometimes I don't have time to do a good lunch, or I don't have time, at least as soon as I finish my training, maybe 2 hours after, because I don't know, I have to work, I have to do my stuff. So can be good to know what is the best thing to consume. I don't know if just drink after the training. If I don't have time to go for a real meal, like a lunch, like a dinner, like just a snack, is, I don't know, just a fruit, something like that. How about the salt on the water, just that, or another thing? Magnesium, I don't know.
It would depend. It would just depend on how long it was between those times. So I always recommend, and I try for myself, to get in at least 25 to 30 grams of protein 30 to 45 minutes after my workout. If I'm going straight home and I'm able to cook a meal, then cool, I'll wait. But if not, I always have a protein shake with me, or a protein bar. Not always my favorite go-to, but it's going to keep my body from, it's going to keep all the gains that I just made instead of me going, and then it's going to break down on me. So yeah, those will be great things to add as well.
The only thing you got to understand a little bit, just on the science side of it, is that you got to understand jiu-jitsu is it's borderline sprinting, but not really. It's somehow like medium distance running and sprinting combined. So you're talking, you're not going to, like, you're not keeping it yourself at 90+% heart rate. That's what sprinting is. You're kind of hovering around, I would say, like between 60 and like about 75% of your maximum heart rate, and then you redline it. Then you'll jump to 90% for little short spurts within that time frame, which is
almost like a HIIT, like a high intensity interval training.
That's exactly what it is. But it's also the primary muscle contraction you're using is isometrics. So it's not that you're not doing concentric eccentric motion. You're basically you're concentric to get some like shortened range of motion, but then you're holding that range of motion, and then you've got to hold that tension for a certain amount of effort to not redline your heart rate. And then every once in a while, you're going to have like a little bit of spurt in order for you to accomplish whatever you're trying to accomplish. And then you go right back into that 60, 70-ish% of heart rate. So it's a little bit different than actual weightlifting. It's a little bit different than actually like running, which is why it's super hard. And not to mention the way he was explaining it is like there's no season. So at the same time, it's not like he was saying where you can like a lot of like NFL, baseball, basketball, stuff like that. They go off season, and then they're eating surplus and they're gaining weight, and they're working on getting max lifts. They're working on getting power. And then, okay, now we're going into season. Okay, now we're going to start cutting our diet back a little bit. Now we're going to start tapering off, losing a bit of body fat. Now we're going to work on agility, and now we're going to work on speed, not so much power. But with jiu-jitsu, it's not like that. It's year round, and it's like gi mixed in with no gi, kind of sinus somewhat over here, maybe over here. I may have to travel. You're like, bro.
No, that's why it's like I mentioned to him, if there are, I didn't know if there were, but he said people often use smaller competitions for like a practice run where if you are trying out something different, or, you know, people who are not like people who kind of don't have something that they're working with right now, and then they listen to our video and they're like, okay, I want to try this. I would recommend kind of giving yourself a trial run, because there is going to be some trial and error. There are some athletes where carbs are the best for them, carb loading, and it sounds like that's the best, what works for you, you know, the sushi before. But then there are athletes too where fat loading makes them feel lean, makes them be able to go throughout those hours. So there are, it really depends. And it was weird to me because I worked with a track athlete and I was used to, you know, manipulating carbs, and she's like, I've always fat loaded. And I'm like, okay, let's try this. And for her, it worked. And we got to, you know, see she had fat like the night before, we had a little bit after, and then she was able to do her different relays and things like that throughout the day. And the fat was able to keep her energized and everything like that. But for some people, it might slow them down, make them feel heavy. So there are going to be many different ways of doing things right, which is why I'm always going to want to recommend like a trial and error period where you can test these things out before, maybe just before training or sparring with a partner. It doesn't have to be before a competition, but you definitely don't want to add brand new things right before you're about to fight for a title or something like that.
Have you ever like treated yourself like a science project? Like have you ever did like you know, get like a heart rate monitor, see like what your average heart rate is when you train, when you don't train, before you actually train?
No, my heart rate I try, but on the beginning, like, yes, but not. I don't explore a lot that part.
Yeah,
because for example, in that moment I try to control and stay like 185, like super high rate on my heart, and trying to control that was great. And also that helped me a lot for competitions, because sometimes on the beginning for my first competition, and maybe whites and blue belts competing now watching us can say, it's you shake hands and you start like bah, 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 bah. So feel like on my training I can reach that level, makes me feel comfortable on shaking hands and stay like that, because I start to feel like, okay, that happened every day on my training sessions, so I can control this and start to breathe and different things. But about, for example, of the meals, how I eat, no, I didn't try, but I tried different things. For example, one tournament was like submission only, no time limit, like maybe 1 hour fight. Even I fought like 40 minutes the final, I think, like crazy. And in that moment, I asked a good friend who makes triathlon how he deals with that big demand of energy. And he says to me, for example, sweet potato, different carbs, not like pasta, like carbs, like more natural, and also stay super well hydrated, something like that, because don't was like just one match, was a tournament, like in that weight, no time limit, like 4 fives, I think. That works perfect, for example. But like I said in the beginning, that changed a lot, because I think I can do that. My cardio can resist, my like the AC, I can control a long match. But for example, I know today I cannot train after a party night. Like 5 years ago, I went straight for the nightclub to the training. So that changed on my body, and I know it's hard for me if Saturday night I drink more than one beer, and then the Monday I have to train in the morning. Gonna be a little hard. That changes, and the same when I have no time and I have to eat something like fast, and maybe I remember on my white blue belt on that moment. I live with my grandmother, and she cooks for me like big, huge plates of pasta. And I remember like eat fast and go straight to the training after that. Was great. Was excellent session. If I do that today, I die on the mat. So that changed a lot. I know it's maybe the age or I don't know, different factors, but I have to adapt my body and the things I like to eat or my lifestyle in general to that kind of things.
Yeah, the reason why I was asking about the science project thing is because it goes back to what Madison was saying, is that everybody's an individual. And see, what people have a tendency to do is what I did it a little bit, but I used to educate myself. You've done a little bit. You kind of do trial and error. But the best trial and error, to be honest with you, is to go get yourself checked out. Like, go figure out your food allergies. Go get your body fat checked out. Like how much.
That's something I'll go into deeper.
Yeah. Those are things that more than anything else, it just gives you a baseline to say, okay, this is what I know that I need to stay away from. It's not necessarily like, and you were talking about the age thing. I think once you get older, your body just is not bulletproof. But you always had a problem with eating like that. But when you were younger, your body was able to take care of it. And now that you've gotten older, your body's not able to take care of it as it did when it was younger. So it's not that you didn't have a problem with it when you were younger. This is my opinion, by the way. It's not that you had a problem with it when you were younger. Is you always had a problem with it. It's just that your body could process it when you were younger. And now that you got older, your body, you can't process it nearly as well. And so that's why I kind of go back to that, because it's the same thing with even the heart rate training, the heart rate monitor. It's not like, I got a buddy of mine who's a professional cyclist. He's a perfect bro. He sleeps with one of those the resting heart rate things on his finger. He checks himself in the morning to find out what his resting heart rate is, so that he can put himself in a tent when he sleeps, an altitude tent, so that he climbs like I think 1,000 feet like every week or 2 weeks, depending on his own heart rate. So he'll check his heart rate, his resting heart rate. Let's say I think he said it was like 55 or 60 or something really low. Let's say it's 60, and he raises the altitude bed. It goes up to 64. He keeps the altitude bed at 1,000 square until his resting heart rate goes back down to 60. Then he'll go up to 2,000 feet, and then his heart rate will go back up, and then he'll just wait until it goes back down to 60, so that his body gets acclimated to that process. So that now all of a sudden you're doing more oxygen uptake, and that's why I was asking that, because it's like I feel like. And it's like, and I was telling you, I think I told you that this last time, Madison, the jiu-jitsu is still relatively new, and the sport hasn't gotten out of the bro science yet. Like, it reminds me of what like the gym business was like 15 years ago.
That's
like,
still bodybuilding, I feel like. They haven't stepped out of that realm.
And there's more, there's more information now. Like, you can look on YouTube. There's like information everywhere. There's all kinds of people. There's much more information, but there's no one going, hey man, like this is what I think. These are the 4 events that we're going to compete for. Everything else is secondary. Whether you make weight or not, I don't give a shit. You're going to compete for worlds. You're going to compete for ADCC. These are your 4 competitions, and we're going to set your diet up, set your training up for these 4 events. And if you can make weight and make it to these other events, great. But it doesn't matter. So they like artificially create a season. Because to be honest with you, you cannot maintain peak performance. It's impossible. it's like I see some of the guys and like the younger competitors. I'm like, brother, like you can't maintain this shit. Like I don't care that you're 21, 22 years old. You just your body will not take it. You're gonna run into a wall, and you're gonna like he thinks that he doesn't know, but he may have fractured his rib because of how he was adjusting his diet. I guarantee you there was probably something that if you put yourself on a diet, you're trying to lose weight, you're putting yourself under mental stress, physical stress. Hello, you're gonna end up hurting something, and that's why like the thing that you're talking about is it's a very individualistic thing, and then people need to really start thinking about it. Like, yo, you got to treat yourself like a science project. Like, okay, man, like what if you are not like anybody that's watching, if you're like a legitimate active competitor, you got to figure out what are the competitions you want to do for the year. Like these are the like no matter what, these are the ones I'm going to compete at, and I'm going to create an artificial season for those competitions. So in other words, you know what I'm saying? Because and then you can do that little bit of a yo-yo where you're going up a little bit in weight, and you're like, okay, now I need to taper a little bit. Now I need to start trimming a little bit. Now now it's all right. I'm really my conditioning is really on point. Boom, I made it to Worlds. I'm at peak performance right now. All right, cool. Then you go into the get fat stage again, and then you start raising up again, and then you're ready for the next one, whatever it is. I don't know how the competition works, but that's one thing that I feel like a lot of the competitors don't do. They're just like, oh yeah, there's a Miami Open, the fall. There's one in the spring. Oh, it is the Pans next week, or there's one in Orlando, or there's one in. And I'm like, brother, like that's cool, but like it's very, you know what I'm saying? Like
it's not super professional.
Yeah, well, you're one of the few competitors I've met that you kind of hover around your weight. Like you really don't fluctuate much. He doesn't fluctuate much, which is awesome.
Yeah, we were talking about his routine is pretty much this similar throughout the year, so that he doesn't have to make those sacrifices. But that comes with years and years of finding that perfectionism and what works for you. I'm sure that when you first started out, you were all over the place, or maybe not. Maybe that's not the case. Maybe you've always just kind of found what you needed. But going back to what Jairo was saying about the testing, yeah, objective testing data is like up here when it comes to being able to find out what works for you. And for those of you who are listening, if you are local in Miami, that's where I'm at, and we can do those tests. So we do Dexa Scans. It measures your body fat percentage, your visceral fat, your bone density, which is very important in jiu-jitsu, making sure that we're not at a risk for injury, muscle mass, android to gynoid ratio. So that can tell us if there's a difference in weight between the legs, the different limbs, that can be indicative of like some hormonal deficiencies or hormonal issues. We have the Dari motion sensor, which is 8 cameras that take 5,000 points of kinematic data. So looking for joint deficiencies, do you load at the hips? Do you load at the waist? Seeing, if there's anything wrong. And then the RMR, which is my favorite. So you're sitting and you put a little thing over your face, and that's going to tell me how many calories you burn at baseline, at rest, sedentary, very hard, active. So you're not having to guess how many calories you burn. I'm just able to put together a plan, or you're able to put together a plan that works for you. Because right now you and all of us can just sit here and say, yeah, I think I burn this many calories. And you could say, yeah, I know I eat this many calories a day. But unless you have that objective testing data to tell you exactly what's going on, you're kind of just trial and error all the time.
So listen, there's somebody that asked a question. 31-year-old guy. I'm competing October 15 at 155 pounds. I'm right now at 162 pounds. Morning is oatmeal, a half a cup, which I think is a little bit too low. Is my only carb of the day. The rest is protein and veggies, but I still get cramps in the fourth rounds. In fourth round rolls, and still feel heavy.
Yeah, well, there's a lot more that I'd want to ask about that. I would ask, how long have you been competing? How long have you been eating this way, like super low carb? Because it sounds like to me we're kind of severely under eating and severely under fueling, which is why you're getting those crazy cramps. And I'm looking at the question here too. I pulled it up, so I'm not just staring. Rest is protein and veggies, but I still get cramps. I would definitely say water too. And going back to what you said, it's not just drinking water. We could be drinking a gallon a day, but we need to hydrate both extracellular and intercellular. So adding that salt, and it's not just, iodinized salt, that's not going to do it. You need something that's going to help pull the water into the cells. So either Celtic salt or Himalayan pink salt. And don't quote me on this, but if you take a mason jar of water and fill a third up of it with salt and the rest with water, let that dissolve, and that can be your salt water like slurry. And then you add 2 teaspoons into your water every day, and that's kind of a good ratio. So you're not drinking like seawater, or you're just not.
Let me ask you a question though, because if I remember correctly, not 100% on this, because nutrition has never been my strong point. If you're carb depleting like that, you're also dehydrating yourself, because for every molecule of carbohydrate, it brings along two molecules of water. Is that correct? It's like a 2-to-1 ratio, is it not?
Don't quote me on that either, because I'm not sure about that ratio, but you're correct with that. When your muscles are going to be smaller, the amount of water that we're going to be able to take is going to be less. So yes, you are correct. I don't know the exact ratio, but the thinking and the idea behind that is correct. All that I would say is I don't think you're eating enough carbs. If this low carb lifestyle is working for you, and I would recommend taking those carbs and adding them immediately before the workout and seeing how that changes things. Just, with the limit of information that I have here, as far as cutting weight goes, let's see, that's how many pounds in like 7 days. I mean,
that's dehydration.
You're already with that limited amount of carbs, you probably don't have that much water to pull. So like I said, this is very limited information that I have. So, I'm only giving just my general recommendations from what I'm reading here, but I don't know if that would be doable to pull that amount in that time with what we're working with right now and still be able to perform. Now, coming from a bodybuilding background years ago, you can pull water, not the best idea because you still have these guys passing out on stage and girls, but yeah, you are going to have to perform too. You're not just getting up there to look a certain way. You want to make sure that you're going to be able to perform. Wouldn't the salt retain my liquids? This is my first competition ever. I started training in September 10th from 171, drinking a gallon of water a day. So salt, like iodinized salt, the salt that we're going to find in soy sauce, yes, that's going to make you retain water, but we want our cells to have water in them. So if you're walking around chronically dehydrated, yes, you are going to come back to a baseline where you are holding water, but this is water that you should have in your body. Your cells need to be hydrated in order for you to perform this way. And I don't compete in jiu-jitsu, but just from listening to these 2 men explain to me how much that we are sweating during this time, I think it's really important that we kind of start off maybe even overly hydrated just to kind of help us,
Yeah, what it would like, I guess let me kind of translate it for him as well. There's a difference between being dehydrated and hydrating from training. So if you're drinking a gallon a day with, like you said, that's a lot. That's a lot of water, brother. Like, honestly, it's great that you're drinking that much water, but that's a lot of water. I mean, if you could pull that off, that means either you're training a lot, you're at 155 pounds, or you want to get to 155 pounds. How much was your body fat, brother? Like, are you lean? Like, if you're under 10% body fat, there's not much left.
Yeah.
If you're eating low carbs, your body fat percentage is lower. You're kind of you're basically drinking enough water and your body's not retaining the water, which means that you're probably peeing like a lot, man. So the combination of threes tells me that you got not much left. So there's a bunch of variables that you're asking, which are good questions, but there's a difference between, right, you just got to kind of adjust, like how much body fat do you have to lose? If you're that carb depleted, you're already walking around like borderline dehydrated, because being that carb low is not really all that great for you either, especially for jiu-jitsu. Like we do, it's like we're borderline kind of like marathon runners. Like, talk to a marathon runner. Like exactly the example that Kiki was explaining. I got another jiggle. Okay, man. So then that tells me that you got body fat to lose, man. Then that's something that's a total caloric intake kind of thing, not necessarily like a carb and water thing. That's what.
And I wouldn't recommend changing a bunch of things right now. But my only recommendation, and I can't say that this is going to make a huge difference at this time out, but I would move that oatmeal to before your workout, 30 minutes before. And I think that would give you a little more oomph. Or if you want something that's just going to be utilized real quick, go back to the glycogen packets or something like that. Just something that is going to be utilized in the moment. You're not going to store it. We're not going to have to worry about you putting on extra weight. So don't move the oatmeal. I would actually add an extra half a cup of oatmeal right before your workout, or half a banana or something like that, because chances are you're under fueling. And that can also cause like a hard stop, because you said you've been working out, training since September 10th, and you've lost, let's see, almost 10 pounds. So yeah, it sounds like you've been, in a calorie deficit, which nothing wrong with it. But for a performance sport, we want to make sure that we're always in maintenance. All right, guys. Especially really close to competition.
So I'm assuming that's you say gi. I think that's how you say it. Gui. I'm assuming that seems like a Brazilian name. I apologize if I say your name wrong. Like, brother, like DM me if you want, and I can give me a little bit more information. I'll pass it on, and we'll kind of hammer it out and give you a little bit of guidance. It doesn't sound like you're depleting that much. You just have to kind of tweak some things, so that way you're kind of doing it in a healthy way, man. All right, guys. I appreciate it. Is there anything else? So Madison.
No, I think I have what I need, but I'll definitely be reaching back out to you guys if I need anything. And it was an absolute pleasure getting to interview and speak with you, Enrique, and learning more about jiu-jitsu from a professional.
You find her on what Nutrition Paradise is what it's called, right?
Yeah, Nutrition in Paradise is my Instagram, and all the other social media things out there. So
Kike, I know him as Kike, even though his name is Enrique. What is yours is Kike BJJ, right?
Yes, everybody calls me Kike. Jairo, excellent. Madison, nice to meet you. A lot of help is truly amazing, because it's not just for me, for my students who gonna compete a lot. Also, I like to create a competition team, and this part is super important. They always ask me about, I have to cut this weight for go a lower division. You think I can win if I cut the weight because I'm gonna be stronger? Or Jiu-Jitsu was created to beat bigger guys. That's the idea. So I try to explain about, no, the idea is don't cut to go for the tournament, but if you feel like you can be comfortable doing that, losing not too much weight and stay comfortable there, go ahead. But it's good to know this stuff, because it's gonna help me to answer that questions. It's super important, and also know I'm doing pretty good things. Like yes, that is important too.
Awesome.
Cool, guys. So anybody else is watching, just keep an eye out. Madison will have some content out for you to give you like the basic fundamentals, things that you should do in order to come up with some type of action plan, especially if you're brand new to like the gentleman that was asking us questions, to competing. So that way you kind of do it in the healthiest way. Because guys, this is long-term stuff, man. Jiu-Jitsu is like forever. It's not like a one and done type of thing. So just keep that in mind. So I appreciate it, guys. You be good.
Thank you.
Awesome.